Has the month gone according to plan? No. Am I getting some good reading done? We'll talk about it. Hey everyone, welcome back to Andrew's Wizardly Reads, and today, guys, we are doing the mid-month wrap-up. But before we get into that, please do me a favor, like this video and subscribe to the channel, as it does help the channel grow. You can check the description box down below for links to all of my social media, including information about my Patreon, my Pango books. All of that is there for you to explore. Now, I have gotten a fair bit of reading done, but at the same time, I haven't had anything yet that I've really, loved, except for maybe one thing. And before we get into that, I've had some changes. My reading is going a lot slower than I thought it was going to, so I'm only doing one physical read this month, and it is literally going to take me the rest of the month, which is the one that we're going to talk about, but I've moved some stuff off of the monthly TBR, like Glorious Exploits by Ferdia Glennon. I have on standby Deathstalker Rebellion, which is Deathstalker number 2 by Simon R. Green. And Lily Ann Crow's Will of the Wayfinder book 2 has sadly been moved off of the immediate TBR unless I just all of a sudden kick into high gear and do a whole bunch of physical reading. So those are the changes that to the TBR right now. And yeah, let's talk about what I did read so far. I've read Kill the Dead by Richard Cadre. This is Sandman Slim number 2. And while I'm still enjoying James Stark as a character, narratively this was incredibly messy. In terms of, I'm going to compare this to an unpopular urban fantasy book, specifically Dresden number 2, Full Moon, which is not a very beloved Dresden story. And I think it does a better job as a book 2 than what Kill the Dead did for Sandman Slim. This basically takes the narrative, jumps forward 6 months, and then takes all of the relationships that we built at the very end of book 1 and then just explodes them. And narratively, this felt like this was like a book 6 or a book 7 style of events. This felt very apocalyptic. It felt like we've been building up a bunch of animosities when really we've only had a couple interactions with these people, and yet this feels like mid to end series shake-up style of a story, and that just doesn't work for me, especially when it's a book number 2. It was too chaotic, too messy. It didn't really all fit together very well. Overall, this one was a miss for me. I ended up finishing it, and I gave it like 3 stars. I have bought the next 3 books in the series, but right now I'm not incredibly hopeful about the series being for me, because I liked book 1. This has some great moments in it. I liked the characters and I liked the events that happened. I just felt like all of the build-up to the events that happened in this book were just missing. This felt like a rushed narrative. Like we're trying to rush to an apocalypse. And if every book is going to be like that, I'm going to burn out on this very, very quickly. So right now, I am continuing the series. I am going to try book number 3, Aloha from Hell, which is an amazing title for a book. But book number 2, Kill the Dead, this doesn't feel like a book number 2, and that was my main issue with it. So, there's that. Then we've got Heart-Shaped Box by Joe Hill. And again, I liked this one more than I liked The Fireman, which I read last month. But, did I like this more than Nosferatu? I don't know, this is probably tied. If not, maybe a little better than Nosferatu. But this is not a favorite Joe Hill for me. I liked the concept, but at the same time, our antagonist is just kind of evil for evil's sake, just general malice, and that didn't really work for me because of the lengths that we're going to seek revenge and to seek vengeance and to punish our main character, which is Judas Coin. And I like the growth that Judas has. I like Judas's characters, and I like the development of his backstory. I like the lore and the aspects of the afterlife that we kind of explore here. Overall, this was like 3.5 out of 5. It's a solid book. But I guess I was just expecting more out of Joe Hill. There's just some stuff where I'm just like, why is all of this happening? And even when you get the explanation, I'm like, it just seems kind of thin. So the reasoning behind the events and the hauntings that take place here just seem kind of a hair forced. And this is a Bram Stoker Award winner for Best Debut. And I can kind of agree and kind of disagree. I don't know. It's good, but it's just not. It's just shy of amazing, and so I felt that was kind of a letdown. Keeping the streak going, we've got The Sixth Wicked Child by J.D. Barker, and this didn't work for me. Overall, this felt like we're doing a lot of gaslighting, and basically it works, and it's like extreme Olympic sports gaslighting, and the degree to which it works is ridiculous. It's so convoluted. There's so many dead bodies involved. There's so many threads that need to be pulled together at the end that a couple of them actually, unless I missed them, feel like they got missed, or they were just like, yeah, I explained it. No, you really didn't explain it. Like how our serial killer ended up in the situation he ended up in. It just kind of glosses over that. And I'm just like, what actually happened here? There's a character that just, I don't, feels out of place at the end. And overall, it didn't work for me. This was it was too bombastic. It was too big. It was trying to one up. Each book has tried to one up the other one. And here it got to the level of almost ridiculous. So unfortunately, this was like a 3-star read for me. I'm glad I've read this trilogy, but man, coming off of like the first and second book and the cliffhanger at the end of book 2, I expected phenomenal things from this trilogy, and I just didn't get it here at the end, and that makes me a little sad. It is a book 3, and it is into a trilogy, and just the way things happen, there's a whole bunch of reveals that happen. There's a whole bunch of stuff that gets discussed. I'm trying to be incredibly vague here, but overall, like, I'm just like, oh man, that didn't work for me as a reader, and I felt a little let down. Like it didn't work, and so for that reason, I'm giving it a lower rating. And then I read half of this book. This is Golden Apples of the Sun and A Medicine for Melancholy. But while I was reading this, I started Golden Apples of the Sun on my Barnes & Noble collection, only to realize that the Barnes & Noble collection, Golden Apples of the Sun, is a completely different collection, because that's Golden Apples of the Sun and Other Stories, and this is Golden Apples of the Sun. The difference being about a difference of, can I do basic math? 13 short stories. So the Barnes & Noble collection has an additional 13 that I wasn't really signing up to read when I picked this up. So I physically read 3 of the short stories here, and then I did audio for the other 16 because of just what's included and not included on that audiobook. Because the audiobook you can buy these days is Golden Apples of the Sun and Other Stories. I wanted to read Golden Apples of the Sun. And it's a different distinction, but I will read those other short stories when I read R's for Rocket, because that's where those other stories were pulled from. And so I've kind of made the distinction to just kind of separate them, and I'll get to those stories when I read R's for Rocket. So I did read Golden Apples of the Sun, and I almost continued on to Medicine for Melancholy. This was outstanding. This was really, really good. There's one short story I think that I didn't particularly love, but Ray Bradbury has such an amazing gift for telling short stories, and especially in the 50s and 60s when he was in his peak. I'm going to just read off some of my favorites. The Foghorn was amazing. I'd already read The April Witch twice, so I skipped that one. I will admit that I skipped it because I've already read it twice. The Flying Machine was actually pretty good. The Murderer, I really liked The Murderer. It takes the concept of, like, what if you're just killing, like, electronics, and you describe it as if you're killing an individual, and that's kind of what The Murderer is. It's like, you know, we're too connected to our technology type of deal. It was really, really good. The Meadow was fantastic. The Garbage Collector, The Great Fire, Hail and Farewell, Invisible Boy. There was The Fruit at the Bottom of the Bowl. The Fruit at the Bottom of the Bowl was such a fantastic story. I loved that one, especially from my hard crime standpoint of, like, what if you commit a crime of passion and then you don't want to get caught, and then OCD kicks in and you end up getting caught because you're too obsessive compulsive. It was fantastic. I loved it. So this was a great read. Unfortunately, this is from 1966, and I don't think you can actually buy Golden Apples of the Sun anymore. I think you can only buy Golden Apples of the Sun and Other Stories. But still, very good collection of stories. I mean, 19 of the 22 stories that are in this Golden Apples of the Sun are in Golden Apples of the Sun and other stories. If I keep saying that, I'm going to confuse myself even further, so I'm going to stop saying it. This is what I'm currently reading. I'm currently 70% through book number 10 of 1,000 Li, The Fourth Stage, which I am thoroughly enjoying after so many disappointing reads at the first half of the month. I needed something that I knew was going to land for me, and this is landing. We've got Wu Ying. He's back to the verdant green water sec after a decade in exile, and things are going really well. There's a great confrontation at the beginning of the book, and then he's trying to settle in and figure out how he fits in as an elder of the sect. I love this series so much. I just got book 11 in the mail. I'm very excited to continue. And I think there's one more book after book 11, and then the series is, at least Wu Ying's story is complete. But yeah, this has been really good, really refreshing, which will hopefully catapult me into what I'm reading for the rest of the month, which is The Legends of Night and Day, the conclusion to Drenai, Son of the Poison Rose, not Son of the Poison Rose, which is Kagan the Damned, book number 2, and then Breaking Colossus by Matt Wright. I have started Breaking Colossus by Matt Wright. I am enjoying it so far. Not loving it, but I think I'm like 5% in. It's very early days, but I think I'm going to enjoy that one. And then, of course, my physical read is The Lies of Locke Lamora. I'm currently 48% at the time of recording on the 13th through this story. And it's okay. It's good. It's not going to be an all-time favorite for me. I think things are about to get very hectic for Locke Lamora, and I am looking forward to that. Overall, I'm just not called to invest a lot of time in reading this, and for that reason, it's going incredibly slowly. I think it's going to be like a 3.5 to a 4-star read for me. So that's kind of where I'm sitting at right now with Lies of Locke Lamora. And before I forget, I did read another short story that I really enjoyed. It is Greedy as a Ghoul by Casey Sutton. This is like a little short story / novella that you can get for free on Kindle Unlimited. And it's a precursor to the events of Malthus by Casey Sutton, which I believe is Necromancer Unchained, which I hope to read in the near future. But I wanted to give it a taste test because my buddy Chris, the Bearded Book Beast, was like, you should read this. And I was like, yeah, I should read that. And it was very quick. So I took an afternoon or an evening, and I read through that really quickly. It's only like 40 or 50 minutes to read it, and it was just very good. It was like a quick event. We've got this necromancer who is, necromancy is not particularly well liked in this world, and he's practicing it. He's been exiled from the Wizard Academy, and he kind of comes across this battlefield and starts reanimating and looting the battlefield, only for then a group of ghouls to come in and start eating all the bodies. And he has to try and escape and get away from the ghouls. It's a very, very great short story and a good taste tester for what is going to come in the main entry novel, which I'm hoping to read sometime next year. But that is everything that I've read in the first half of the month. Hopefully the second half of the month, things are going to go a little bit better. If I have room to fit in other stuff, I will. Because again, I've only got 1, 2, 3, and technically 4 books, 3.5 books left to read throughout the rest of the month. So maybe I'll fit in something else. I've gotten in a whole bunch of indie in terms of book hauls here recently. So we'll see. Fingers crossed. But that's all I really got for today, guys. Let me know in the comment section down below how your first half of the month has been going. What has been your favorite read so far? And I will talk to you guys later. Till next time. Peace out. Stay magical. Bye. And as always, I want to give a huge thank you to my patrons. Thank you for supporting my passion and my hobby. It means the world to me.